Welcome to the Dirt Bike Girl. If you don't know, my name is Jessie, and today we're doing something a little bit different, but pretty much the same. We're going to prepare our bikes for a day of riding. First up, we're going to put gas in it, of course. This is always a hard part for me. Look how little my arms are. They don't have any strength, so I use my leg to lift the can. I use my leg a lot to lift bikes, lift cans. They're a whole lot stronger than my arms. Even though I use these bikes and go through them every week, I always find new stuff that I can work on and save the bike from breaking down. So it's always a good thing to go through your bike in detail. Of course, I've spilled gas everywhere, so now I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. Next, I'm going to start the bike and let it warm up. Especially on cold days, you want to let the bike warm up for a good 2 minutes. And when we're done with the bikes, we always turn off the gas and let the gas run out of the car. So right now I'm turning the petcock on, I'm going to turn the choke on, and then I'm going to start this bike. A lot of times we find in the wintertime the batteries start to go, we might have to replace a battery. We really try to address things before they're a big problem and go through as much as we can and make sure that it's running correctly. Once a month I check the air filters and I change out the oil on all of these school bikes. You should go by your recommendation from your bike manufacturer. While I'm letting the bike warm up, I'm just going to spray a little bit of WD-40 on the plastics. This doesn't do anything for the bike, it just shines it up and makes it look nice. And I like my bikes to look nice, not look like they're so beat down. This has a second benefit. It allows me to kind of go around and look at the bike in a little more detail, make sure nothing's leaking, nothing looks like it might need to be replaced. Comment below, let me know the little things you like to do to pamper your bike and make sure it's running great all the time. I'm going to turn the choke off now. This bike's a little finicky. Usually with most of them, as soon as I start them, I turn the choke halfway off. But this bike is a little more on the finicky side. Once it gets really warmed up, I can turn the choke off. Usually I have to ride it around. Again, you just got to get to know your bike and what it prefers. Some bikes I have to drain the bowl every time, no matter what. If I run the gas out of it or not, I have to drain the bowl every time. If it's been sitting for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then I've got to drain the bowl before I start it. Some bikes start right up, no problem, no choke, nothing. Some need the choke, some like it half on. It's always different. Now I'm just going through and taking a closer look at everything. Because these are school bikes, they really take a beating. And because somebody else is riding them, I don't always know what's not working right. So I always want to do a thorough check over since somebody else is riding this bike. It might not be as necessary if you're the one always riding the bike, but if it's your kid's bike, you might need to really do this every time you go through it. Okay, now it's time to lube the chain. I got a little trick to doing this. I always lift the bike up onto the kickstand so the rear wheel is in the air. And then I put it in first gear. That makes the bike's back wheel freely roll. Then I balance it and spray the lube onto the chain. When you spray it on, you don't want to put it in the middle. You want to put it on the sides where the links are. This has a lot of benefits and should be done every time. First, it allows your bike to move more freely. Second, it extends the life of your chain. And third, it gets you looking at your chains and sprockets to make sure they are still in good working condition. Chains stretch out over time, so while you're down there, make sure your chain is not too loose. I adjust my chains about every other month, I find, but we're riding these bikes a lot. I forget what I'm adjusting here, but I found something that needed a little adjustment, so I'm going ahead and making it. Then next, I'm going to go ahead and check the oil. Always a very important step. Like I said, I change the oil and air filters on these bikes once a month. But of course, you should follow your manufacturer's recommendations. There's a sight glass on this bike, so all I have to do is have it nice and straight and levelish so I can look at the sight glass. Sometimes you need to clean them off and make sure there's enough oil in it. Go by, again, your manufacturer's recommendations on how much oil should be in your bike. If I start finding that I'm having to add oil a lot in between oil changes, I'll go through the whole bike and figure out what's going on, where it's leaking, why it's using up, if it's got a problem. Sometimes they turn into bigger problems, but you want to find them before they're a big problem. And that's why we do all of this. This saves us time and money in the long run. Okay, now that I've gone through the whole entire bike, I'm going to go out for a quick little ride. Make sure it's going through all of its gears correctly. Make sure the brakes are working correctly, front and rear brake, and the clutch is working correctly. I remember earlier this year when I used to be afraid to get on the 230s. I thought they were too tall. And now they kind of feel a little short to me. It's funny how things change. Wow, that was a quick little ride. Alright, now I know that the bike is running okay, but I found another little problem while I was out riding. When I pushed on the rear brake, it nearly went to the floor. So it needs adjusting. These rear brakes are real easy to adjust. You just spin the little thing on the back. That's the technical name for it, the little thing. And it tightens up the spring. And even though I went through this entire bike, I still, after I went for a ride, found another little thing wrong. On this rear brake, the thing that's holding, I got real technical names here, guys. The thing that's holding the round piece has spread apart a little bit, and it's about to fall out. So I'm just going to go get a pair of pliers and squeeze it back together. It's always good to go for a quick little ride and make sure everything is working correctly. Once I finish up these adjustments on the rear brake, the bike is ready to go. I'll put a sticker on it letting me know that it's ready and the date of the last time I worked on it. I also keep a book filled with all the information of everything I do to all of our bikes. That way I always remember which one had what done. And I never question whether I changed the brake pads on this bike or the other blue 230. We also have them all numbered, and soon we need to have a naming party and name all these bikes. Well, thanks guys. I really appreciate you sticking through this whole video with me. I know it wasn't the funnest video, but I definitely want to educate as much as I can. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications, all of that stuff. And remember, if you're having a bad day, it's only 1 down and 5 out. Keep riding, guys. See you next time.